Come along with me to Italy in October. I stayed in Florence as a home base and took side trips to Rome, Cinque Terre, and Venice. I'm a retired school teacher, and my husband just retired from teaching as well, which means this is the first time we could ever travel during beautiful October. I'll show you the sights as well as my travel sketchbook from our trip. Oh, and I like to be silly from time to time, so there will be some of that too. Let's go! We took it pretty easy when we first arrived off a red-eye flight from New York, but we walked around the touristy areas and gawked at the beautiful architecture. We rented an apartment for a month in a suburb of Florence and took the tram into the city, which turned out to be a surprisingly affordable way to have the best of both worlds, the quiet, peaceful pace of a suburb and the city 20 minutes away whenever we wanted to head in. Unlike other vacations we've taken, where we are go, go, go the entire time, trying to jam in as much adventure as we possibly can in a small window of time, this time we took it easy, alternating busy days with easygoing days, often picking up food from a local market and making simple meals in the apartment. We walked or took trams, subways, or trains everywhere. It was really easy to get around. We had beautiful weather. I guess it was a little unseasonably warm for October, but it was just perfect for us and for long walks. This trip was a dream come true that was a long time in the making. We've been to Morocco in the summer, Thailand in the summer, Vietnam in the summer. Amazing trips that I'm really grateful for, but really hot. I loved visiting Boboli Gardens. It's a huge landscaped park filled with ancient and Renaissance statues, grottos, and fountains. It's been added to over the centuries as various dynasties came and went. And it was a really beautiful sunny day to explore the grounds and check out all the statues and other features.
School statue.
Where's the statue?
It's all right. Nope. That way. Now tip up.
Yeah, but it's all darkness over there.
Shit, it's meant to.
Oh, I wasn't going.
Dude, I'm hammering it up.
Go, go.
You get that, man.
A friend recommended the Bargello, a quieter museum than some of the bigger tourist attractions. It's really beautiful, located in Florence's oldest public building and filled with medieval and Renaissance art. The palace dates back to 1255. By the way, as an American, it's hard to get used to just how old everything can be in Europe. The Bargello was used as a prison for a time and was also the seat of the city police chief before becoming Italy's first national museum in 1865. It has sculptures, paintings, weapons, and a lot more. Ciao bella! Pro travel tip. If you ever get a chance to ride a carousel, ride the carousel. I set my eyes on David. It is truly stunning to see him in person, no matter how many times you've seen the photos. And I had never seen the backside of the statue before. We visited the Leonardo Interactive Museum. It was cool. They made interactive machines based on Leonardo da Vinci's sketches, and it was fun to operate the machines while seeing the sketches made by da Vinci. I guess it's geared towards school children, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among
1%
Like peek with your face kind of sideways.
And then, for 3 days, we left the cradle of the Renaissance for the grandeur and chaos of Rome. One of my favorite experiences in Rome happened just by stepping off the metro and out into the street. And there was the colossal Colosseum right before my eyes. That was the start of a huge walk we took around the city. It was surreal to be walking around seeing modern buildings mixed in with sites of ancient ruins.
We'll play a song or something. All right, let's be quiet though.
We just popped into this basilica while walking by on the street, and it was stunning. This shot started with a mirror view. The mirrors let people see the ornate ceilings without craning their necks. Here's another mirror shot. The Vatican Museum was mind-boggling and overwhelming. We had a guided tour that rushed us through gallery after gallery as we ogled at art through the centuries. Paintings and sculptures and tiles and frescoes and tapestries, and about every artist I'd ever heard of, modern ones too. It was delightful and completely exhausting. Photos weren't allowed in the Sistine Chapel. Not that stopped hordes of rude tourists from snapping away anyways, as the staff yelled, "No photos," over and over. Not only were we exhausted, but there was a transit strike, so we then walked 3 miles from the Vatican to the Colosseum, where we had a scheduled ticket. We ducked into a restaurant about halfway there, and it turned out to be the kind of fancy restaurant that serves potato foam and courses with about 2 or 3 bites. They were really welcoming, and we loved it as a peaceful respite from the crowded outside world. I was worn out by the time I climbed through the crowded Colosseum, and a lot of the areas were restricted to us, so that breathtaking view I'd had from the metro station ended up being my favorite Colosseum experience.
We didn't pay for the good experience.
Fortunately, we made it. We would not be denied.
We traveled to Cinque Terre for a few days, the famed 5 villages carved into the rocky coast, surrounded by terraced vineyards, a really charming place. Even the tiny little hamlet where we stayed features a beautiful church. We hiked to the neighboring village and had a really beautiful lunch by the sea. There's a view of the village we had just left, and another view from higher up after some pretty strenuous hiking.
That's enough.
We We also visited the village on the other side of our village. It was high up on the cliffs. We walked around our village and its harbor quite a bit. I spent a long minute and a half videotaping that guy in the distance. It looked like he would dive from the cliff. He's gonna. Nope, he's not gonna. Check it out. Back in Florence, another long walk brought us to the iconic view of Florence from Michelangelo Square and the beautiful basilica above that. Pinocchio, did you drink all of the Chianti?
No, Signora. I'm a good boy.
We traveled to Venice for one night. We walked around a lot checking out the sights and eating cicchetti, little tapas-style snacks. We loved visiting St. Mark's Square and the surrounding area, and we ended up staying there until day turned into night. Of course, gondolas were all around, but we opted to just take a water taxi back to our hotel. And oh my goodness, the gorgeous canals with the lights on the water in the night. The next morning, we explored the Venetian ghetto, the oldest in the world and set up in 1516. We walked around a bit more, had a gelato, and caught the train back to Florence once again. We shared a Florentine steak, which had been on our bucket list of local things to try. We visited the small city of Lucca, which is still surrounded by its Renaissance-era walls. The top of the walls have been turned into a beautiful park that you can walk around. We climbed to the top of this tower that dates back to the late 1300s. Up top, you can see beautiful views of the tiled roofs of the city, and it kind of strangely features oak trees on top for a beautiful garden. The city was gearing up for what we later found out is Europe's largest comics convention, which led to some pretty strange juxtapositions. And then we had just one thing left planned to do in Florence, to tour the Duomo, which we've been seeing views of from all around Florence throughout our trip. We were able to climb up to the top of the famous dome. I had read this book about it during the trip, which really increased my anticipation. We climbed up staircases in single file, had a little breather here, and then continued up a narrow spiral staircase. We waited at the first balcony of the dome for the group ahead of us to clear out, which gave us time to enjoy these trippy visions of hell and see the little ant-like people scurrying down below in the space we had just left. Then we had still more climbing up through a kind of creepy narrow space between the inner dome and the outer dome. But then we emerged into the fresh air and sunshine high above Florence. I adore any kind of adventurous activity that ties in with history, or anything really, and I was giddy with excitement as I caught my breath and took in the views. The descent was pretty similar, except that we got to pass through the second balcony and hang out next to this guy for a bit. Before long, we were safe and sound back on the ground in the sunshine once again, a perfect ending to our month of both adventure and relaxation in Italy. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. It really helps out. Subscribe, and I would love to hear any comments you might have down below. Thanks so much. Ciao.
Prossima fermata, Nenni Torregalli. Next stop, Nenni Torregalli.